It's game time, so get your strapped. The magic sponge doused and the oranges cut, chilled and quartered as we take the field for WCBH Darwin Sports Radio. WCBH Darwin Sports Radio.
Good morning, Jono, and this weekend we've got round 4 in the AFL.
And good afternoon to you, Cam. It's I think we're about, 10 hours ahead of you, or 12 hours or something like that. But sunny day here in Geelong, and round 3 has been completed and round 4 coming up, as you said.
Let's go through the results from round 3 because some interesting results there. Thursday night, the Cats 68 over the Crows 60.
Yes, and you might not have seen it over in Spain, but it was a terrible weather day here in Geelong last Thursday night. It kept the crowd away. It was a real taste of winter very early in the piece. Cats did enough to just hang on by 8 points against the Crows, which was great for the Cats and Geelong supporters alike. But the Crows, they were missing some key personnel, so I wouldn't be too concerned about the Crows after that one.
Terrible day of weather in Geelong. Do you ever have good days of weather in Geelong?
I'm looking at it. Today has been supreme. 26 degrees, beautiful autumn day, no wind, no clouds, just perfect.
I was going to suggest it's like, the north of the UK there where you can count on one hand the amount of good days of weather, and that's when everyone runs outside and puts a singlet on and some shorts and enjoys the weather, but it's slightly better down there in Geelong. How about a little bit harsh possibly there. How about the Magpies and GWS? They're not on the money at the moment.
No, they're currently, after the weekend, sitting now in 15th position. They've had one win, and they were sort of thereabouts with the Pies, but the Pies just proved to be too strong, getting over the line by 33 points. Unfortunately for the Pies, Scott Pendlebury came off early with a tight Achilles, and Captain Darcy Moore with another calf/hamstring. So they will be in doubt for next weekend. So that will be a watch. But no, the Pies are too strong for the Giants, and the Giants, they're really in need of getting some of these key players back into their side before they drop too many more games.
Lions travel down south and they got a good win over St Kilda. The big spending St Kilda team couldn't go back-to-back.
The Lions led by 2 points at three-quarter time, Cam, and I went to have a shower, and by the time I came back and out of the shower, the Lions are about 5 goals up. They absolutely turned it on in the last quarter. They won by 33 points and just let the competition know that they're still around the mark.
And that's positive signs for them, but like in any football code, being able to play your game across the whole game and not just in little bits of little spurts of action is what's going to be needed deep in September.
Yes, most definitely. And that brings us into Carlton, which we'll talk about soon.
Freo, 60 points winners over the Tigers.
Well, this is another one, Cam. 10-goal victory to the Dockers, who currently sit in third place now, which is fantastic for them. They're really one of the contenders this season. Everything's starting to click finally for the Dockers. But the Tigers were a goal up with 30 seconds to go in the second quarter, and Fremantle kicked 2 goals in 30 seconds to finish the second term and lead by 6 points at halftime, and then went on to win by 60 points. So the Tigers will be ruining the last 30 seconds of that second quarter just to lose that momentum that they had, and whether it would have had a bearing on the game, probably not, but they could have gone in at halftime in front and might have been different.
Yeah, okay, so a massive second half there for the Dockers. How about this one? North Melbourne 81, the Bombers 69. The North Melbourne Kangaroos find themselves in the top 6 now, very early, and there's been a swag of buys already, but they are in the top 6. That's something that their long-suffering supporters will be really enjoying.
Yeah, most definitely. They're in the 6th for the first time in who knows how long. They haven't had, well, let's say, anyone of sort that they've had to play as yet. They play Carlton next week, which they're a pretty good chance to win and get another win. But as far as the contenders are concerned, they haven't fronted up against any of them. In saying that, you can only beat what's being put in front of you, and that's what they're doing. And the poor old Bombers are now languishing without a win in 17th position, and it's very hard to see into the future as to where their next win will come from.
And it's interesting now when you look at the ladder, we're talking about the top six and the top 10, 1 through to 6 being in the finals, 7 through to 10, still part of the finals, but part of the new wildcard structure.
Yeah, well, it's virtually just another uh, um, elimination for the final. So they're counting that, as we spoke about the other week, as a final, which, yeah, doesn't reward mediocrity, I think, is what we were talking about, Cam. But yeah, they're thereabouts. And hopefully for the Kangas, they can hang on and take up one of those top 10 spots.
It's a real balance, isn't it? Because TV broadcast and the AFL competition and keeping more teams alive the closer we get to the finals, it would be all around why they're doing this. And then on the flip side of the coin, um, it's about that mediocrity. At what point do you draw the line?
Yeah, I agree. And clearly, it's bums on seats and it's all dollars. It's a big business these days. So that's got to be the thought process behind it all, no doubt.
We'll see how it feels like once we get towards the end of the season. But if your team is still, I suppose, still in play,
Mm.
that keeps you a little bit more engaged. So yeah, we'll see how it goes before we knock it too much.
But
But
even
it's more than half the competition in the finals just doesn't feel right.
no, and I looked at the ladder today, and even the ladder as it's listed, it's divided into three sections now with 1 to 6, 7 to 10, and 11 to 18. And it just doesn't feel right.
No. Over in the West, is it too early to call it a resurgence of the West Coast Eagles, 2-point winners over Port Adelaide?
I think we can. Like whether they can continue to beat sides is another story. But the fact that they're competitive and they've been competitive in each game they've played this year, um, again, it takes time for these young kids to come on, and they're starting to come on. And um, the fact that they're winning or thereabouts or looking competitive will also lure Western Australian players back to the state and possibly want to go and play at the Eagles, which down the track will only make them stronger. 2 point.
GFF, yeah, GFF, good for football. And that win was in Adelaide.
Yeah, that was in Adelaide, so away from home. And I suppose in saying that, you've just got to again put the question marks on Port Adelaide, who 1 week look impressive and the next week drop away. So again, under new coach this year, will take some time, as we've spoken about, Cam. But yeah, the Eagles, it's exciting to see them get a win.
Certainly is. The D's 100, the Blues 77. Is AFL a bit like rugby league, where each season the media somehow puts a coach in the crosshairs? Is the pressure building on Carlton's coach?
Yeah, it is now. And I don't like to say it because Michael Voss was one of my favourite players of all time when he was at Brisbane. He was an absolute beast. And if only his young players knew what sort of a player he was and how hard he was and took some of that away with them. Carlton led by 42 points, Cam. And at that point, in the second quarter, you don't lose a game of footy. And for some reason, again, Carlton have managed to let a game slip. In actual fact, went down by 23 points, which is an 11-goal turnaround. Um, farcical by Carlton. And they've continually coughed up games like this for the last 12 months. And the heat is definitely going to come now for Voss, which is a shame because he doesn't deserve that.
No, he doesn't deserve that, and neither does Carlton, because Carlton's one of those teams that have been down the bottom of the ladder for far too long. They need to have their resurgence because I would imagine when the Blues are up in the top four, football's going well.
Yes. And I probably, yeah, I can't really sympathise with Carlton, I'm sorry, because I still think back to 1995 when they cheated in the salary cap and beat Geelong by about 20 goals in the grand final. And they did pay for that. The AFL came down very strong on that. But yes, us Geelong supporters still like to remind the Carlton supporters of the grand final that they bought and cheated in.
And I suppose that's one thing about footy, about tribalism, having the teams you love, having everyone's second favourite team, having the teams that you hate or you dislike, or the rivalries. That's all
We
good
love it.
stuff for football. And yeah, so as much as you might want to keep them down the bottom there, them
We
getting a resurgence there at the Blues, I think would be good for footy overall. They've been down the bottom for too long.
And everybody loves going to work on a Monday for the banter of who teams gets up, who team got rolled. It's what makes us Australians. We love it.
Very true. Now back on the pine from round three, the Hawks, the Swans, the Dogs, and the Suns. So let's have a look at round four now. Thursday night, we've got the Lions and the Magpies, Battle of the Birds. Hey, this is some grand final rivalry there.
Certainly is 23-24, eat your heart out, and 2001, 2002. But the Lions and Pies on Easter Thursday night at the Gabba is massive. And if we think back to last year, the Pies went up there and absolutely belted the Lions on their home deck. I don't think it'll happen this year, particularly if Pendlebury and Darcy Moore don't come up. And the Lions just starting to get their season on track with a healthy win against the Saints on the weekend, particularly that last quarter. And they should carry that form in this week. And I'm tipping the Lions to get up, Cam.
Yeah, me too. Lions at the Gabba. North Melbourne up against Carlton. I'm already going to put my tip in nice and early. I'm going to back the Roos in this one.
Yeah, I'm with you. And, well, I sort of actually, no, I'm going to tip the Blues here, Cam, because North Melbourne are going to be out with it out. Well, they would lose their big ruckman, Tristan Sherry, who will get weeks this week. He wiped some blood on an opponent's face
Oh,
yesterday.
that's pretty
And
unsavoury stuff.
extremely unsavoury. We haven't seen it since, I think, 2002, where Nathan Buckley rubbed his head on Cameron Ling's jumper and put blood on him, but no one's ever put it on someone's body as such. And so he will cop the full brunt of the tribunal this week. So they'll be without the big ruckman, and he's a key to North Melbourne. So in saying that, I'm going to tip the Blues.
Yeah, that's. I imagine they'll crack down really hard on if that's what's proven to have taken place. Let's have a look at the Crows and the Dockers, 12v3.
This could quite possibly be the match of the round at the Adelaide Oval on Friday night. Two games on Good Friday this year, which will keep things interesting for the footy lovers. Freo are flying, as we know, and the Adelaide Crows weren't too bad against the Cats last week in the wet, despite losing some key personnel prior. Toss of the coin, Cam, but I think I'll just tip the Crows at home.
Yeah, I'm going to go the Dockers on that one. Tigers up against Port Adelaide, two teams that are struggling. Who do you see getting this one?
Again, another toss of the coin. If Port had a rolled West Coast at home last week, which most people expected them to do so, I would definitely tip Port. But you can only tip on form these days. But in saying that, that makes a mockery of what I'm about to say because Richmond got belted by 10 goals. But I'm going to tip the Tigers at home to get a win against Port at the G.
Yeah, okay, they're going to put it together at the G. I'm going to tip that Port Adelaide make the journey and pick up the win. Battle of the Birds, Eagles, and the Swans.
Yes, it's lovely to see the Eagles competitive, but I just don't think they can match the Swannies. The Swannies have had a week off, so they'll be fresh as a daisy. They've got too many key players, too many big names to let West Coast take control of that game, and the Swans will win over in Perth.
Um, Yeah, okay. I'll tip the Swans on that one too. That won't define the West Coast season. I just think if they start picking up the games that they could win,
Yeah.
they'll be an improved season. Demons up against the top place Suns.
The top place Suns are purring, Cam, and they've had a week off, but they will be without Christian Petrarca. The new recruit has been on fire this year, and he'll miss out playing against his old mob at the MCG on Easter Sunday. I think the Suns might just be too powerful across the board, but as we saw on the weekend, we can't count Melbourne out. Even though they were 7 goals down, they still managed to get up and turn the game around by 11 goals. But I think the Suns might just be too powerful here, Cam.
It does have upset feel about it, but I'll be still backing my Suns. And the Doggies, they'll go head to head with the Bombers.
Dogs. Full stop. Dogs by about 12 goals minimum, I think, Cam.
All right, Jono's predicting what, a 150, a 160 score there?
Oh, yeah, most likely. The Bombers just have not given a yelp, and for the quality that they do have some quality players out there, but they're a long way off it at the moment. And the Dogs are firing; they'll be fresh too. They've had a week off, and I just can't see the Bombers getting anywhere near them, particularly on the fast deck of Marvel. And the Dogs will monster them, I think.
Yeah, I'll be backing the Dogs in that one. Hawks and your Cats.
I'm going to this one on Easter Monday, Cam, at the G. Before I fly up to Darwin on the Tuesday. And this might surprise you, Cam, but I'm going to tip Hawthorn to beat my Cats
No.
because I just think they're going to be too quick and they'll get us on the outside. It pains me to say it. I just haven't seen enough quality form of the Cats yet to warrant them getting over the Hawks. I hope I'm wrong.
Well, you were wrong a few weeks ago when you backed against the Cats. They ended up getting the win, and
Yeah,
you're
that
going to
was.
do it. You're going to do it for a second time now.
I'm going to do it for a second time. I can't believe I'm saying this, Cam. I can't believe I'm saying it to you, but yeah.
You know
This,
this is a this is a podcast, so it's recorded in history and available for review at a later date.
oh no, and hopefully it comes back to haunt me. I pray that it comes back to haunt me.
Never tip against you. I'll tip your team for you. I'll be tipping the Cats in that one. More buys, St Kilda
More,
and GWS.
more buys. Last weekend of buys. I think the footy world has spoken, and everyone's had enough of the buys. So hopefully, the AFL will make a decision and change the structure of the start of the season next year with opening round and buys galore for the first 4 rounds. It just doesn't. It still doesn't feel like the season's actually in full swing. So, yes. Now, Cam, I'm not sure if you've heard this over in Spain, but the AFL have committed to locking in the grand final as a day grand final, 2:30 start for the next 2 years.
Right, and then a twilight.
Well, they haven't committed to a twilight. They've just said for the next 2 years it will stay a day grand final. And they've also secured Kylie Minogue as the halftime entertainment.
Oh, that is big news.
Big news.
All right, Jono, we'll enjoy round 4. Go your Cats and my Suns, and we'll talk again next week.
Good to talk, Cam.
It's game time, so get your strapped. The magic sponge doused and the oranges cut, chilled and quartered as we take the field for WCBH Darwin Sports Radio. WCBH Darwin Sports Radio.